Hello everybody, my name is Dratnos and welcome to another video. Today we have information that's just come out about what is coming out in Season 3 in patch 10.2. So a lot of stuff we already knew was coming. New zone, I guess, was to be expected. New raid, Emerald Dream themed. This one is like Firelands crossing into Emerald Dream. Fight, Farak is going to be the last boss. Pretty exciting looking stuff. Class sets coming soon. As soon as those start getting announced, I'll have videos on those too. New legendary weapon. So that's something called Firaloth the Dream Render, which is a two-handed strength axe. And acquisition is as yet unclear. Although the fact that it's being talked about as a major feature here, there was technically a legendary weapon as part of Season 2, but it was kept secret, and it was also locked behind, a raid boss and an end boss. So this time, given that it's being more centered and being more talked about early on, I suspect the acquisition for this, even if it does involve the raid, it'll be a little bit more maybe quest-based and maybe based on, maybe you'll get a quest to kill Farak a certain number of times or something, but it won't be like an RNG drop off of him. That would be my guess, but again, we don't know anything there. New public events, Super Bloom, Emerald Bounty. So in the Emerald Dream Zone, again, Zaralek Cavern style, a little bit more public event stuff than there was in Zaralek as well, which looks pretty cool. New Renown with the Dream Wardens, that's cool as well. New M+ dungeon pool. So this got announced, and here it is. Darkheart Thicket from Legion. This makes sense. This was, actually, I predicted that this would be in this season if there was an Emerald Dream theme, because this was the dungeon associated with the Emerald Nightmare raid. And it got revamped a little bit to be in Legion Time Walking M+ when they briefly experimented with that. So I'm not surprised to see it here. It was in a little bit of a better state than it was in Legion, even during that time walking. Still a couple of things about this dungeon that are maybe worth looking at, but a lot of the problems that it had in Legion with like bears being super one-shotty, cats being super one-shotty, the last boss being super one-shotty, were already quite a bit better in the time walking version of this. So pretty optimistic there. Blackrock Hold, another Legion dungeon returning here as well. Another one that this one was one that had mixed reception back in Legion, and also when I think it was in the Time Walking Legion M+ as well. It's going to be a good dungeon as long as it's not Sanguine Week. Sanguine in this dungeon was an absolute nightmare. The narrow corridors, a lot of enemies that drop Sanguine. So other affixes, though, I quite liked this dungeon. Then we've got two BFA dungeons coming back. One of them is Waycrest Manor. Now, this dungeon, my big problem with it always was that you could get the top left door, and then you could go straight to the Heartsbane Triad, hard boss, but the route worked out nicely, your lust worked out nicely, and if you did wipe on that boss, you got to go home immediately. Or you could get the top right door, and you're just down horrendous. Or you get the bottom right door, and it was kind of a middle ground situation, but that RNG associated with Waycrest Manor was not something that I liked, so I hope that's something that they'll think about changing with the revamp and return of it. Otherwise, I suspect it's a dungeon that's going to feel like it aged pretty well. A lot of pretty fun pulls and bosses in that place. Ataldazar. So this one is an interesting dungeon because we attacked this dungeon last time. I'm not in a mount. No, I'm not in a mount at all. I was just standing there. All right, we attacked this dungeon last time with a lot of use of these snap spots. So if you started doing this dungeon in mid to high level keys, it's the Sorid pulls that just occupied the middle area of this dungeon were really nasty. But your tank could just like walk over here, jump onto this, and then snap the mobs to them, and they wouldn't jump on the rest of your group. Now, since BFA, most mobs have changed how their snapping works so that they won't just instantly teleport to the person they want to snap to, right? If a mob can't draw a path to somebody, back in BFA, they generally would just instantly teleport to that person, which made snapping a really powerful strategy. These days, a mob will sit there for a couple of seconds, evade, snap, evade for a couple of seconds, and then start fighting, which makes them a lot more deadly. It makes threat a lot more of an issue. And it means that might not be something like if the Swords in the revamped Ataldazar when it returns have that new behavior, we may have to change how we attack the middle part of this dungeon. Hopefully, if they do that, they'll tone down the leap damage on those things. The other part of this dungeon that I hope that they'll look at early in the testing process is over here. There's a double reanimated honor guard pull that stood in front of these stairs before Volcall, and just horrifying mobs that really toned down what you could do in this dungeon, because you could never reasonably pull the pack on these stairs. So you just always had to like pull to the side and vanish, or pull to the side and death skip, or run through and death skip, or in season 4 you had the obelisk that you could use to sneak through, which made it a lot better. But that was another part of this dungeon that I always thought was really weak. So I think this dungeon could be really, like, I liked this dungeon a lot, and I think it'd be really easy to improve it by a huge amount by fixing those honor guards and making them less awful to fight. And then, yeah, I think a good plan for the swords. Like, I don't think they need to be snappable, but I do think that if they're not snappable, they should probably be a little bit less deadly than they were in BFA. And yeah, reasonably exciting dungeon return there. Everbloom from Warlords of Draenor. So this was obviously a challenge mode dungeon back in WoD days, which is a little bit before my time playing super competitively. But my understanding of Everbloom is that there was a very widely used skip through this dungeon that I think has since been fixed. So I wonder how this dungeon will feel without that. That's not unlike Ataldazar and Waycrest Manor. I don't have strong personal knowledge of this place. I've done it, in time walking a little bit. It's actually where I got my Infinite Time Reaver, was an Everbloom run in a time walking WoD week. But not something I know much about at all. And then Throne of the Tides, returning from Cataclysm. Dungeon I know a little bit more about, because I was playing a little bit more at the start of Cataclysm than I was in most of WoD. And interesting choice to return. It's going to be a valuable teleport as well. Teleport to Throne of the Tides. That's a good plus 20 to do, because, if you don't have an Ataldazar teleport, okay, you've got an Underrot teleport. That's close. You can go to your capital city. I guess if you're Horde, you can go to your capital city, and then you can go to Zuldazar. That's pretty close. But if you want to get somewhere in Vashj'ir, Throne of the Tides port is going to save you 5 minutes over the next best option. So that's pretty good. That's pretty compelling. But yeah, that's the only real take I have about that dungeon otherwise. So we'll see how it works out. The last Cataclysm dungeon they picked, Vortex Pinnacle, I think was one of the weaker ones in that dungeon pool, but it wasn't awful. And I think that this one, my understanding is that it's also mostly straight line paths through the dungeon. So the linear side of things maybe also pretty high on the linear side of the scale, but it could have good fights, good trash. I don't know. And I assume that they'll change a lot from their Cataclysm versions as well. And then, of course, we have 2 of the Dawn of the Infinites dungeons, which are Galakron's Fall and Murazan's Rise, which one is which? Because Murazand rises at the end of the Iridikron fight, the 4th boss of Dawn of the Infinites, and then the second part, you stop Murazand from rising, right? And you instead let Iridikron go. So I don't know which of these is which, actually, because in the ordering here, you'd think this is the second one, but that actually kind of fits better as a name with the first one. Either way, I'm sure it doesn't matter. People will call them Lower and Upper Dawn of the Infinites. But yeah, that's okay. Murazan. Murazan's Fall is the second one, because there's an image here with Murazan's Fall, and that's Morchi. So okay, yeah, Murazan's Rise is the second one. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So yeah, that's the M+ rotation. What else we got here? Blood Elf customizations. Wow. Dragon riding updates, new races, mounts, and customizations. Hopefully, I was hoping that Druid's dragon riding would be in here, because it's like a Emerald Dream Druid themed patch. I also thought that the legendary weapon would be usable by Druids, but nope, it's 2-handed strength weapon. And then class updates, Rogue and Hunter, Demon Hunter, which I was thinking Hunter was a good choice for this, but they've gone with Demon Hunter instead. So those are the Rogue rework was one we knew was coming. That one was supposed to be in, I think, in 10.15 or 10.17, but it got pushed to 10.2. Definitely a class with a class tree and various spec trees, especially like Assassination, that I think really don't look good compared to the ones that they have revamped in the past few patches. So I think that makes a lot of sense to include there. DH, I'm a little bit more surprised to see here. I thought that the trees for DH were reasonably good, but we'll see what they do with it. Always room to get better. And you have 4 hunters. And yeah, then the new raid. So here's the new raid, Amir Drasil, the Dream's Hope. You can see this looks very Firelands. It's Emerald Dream Firelands combo. Farak the boss, blazing through the Emerald Dream, gaining its power to exact his evil plans. 9 boss raid, including a dragon riding encounter. Now this is a line that has led to a lot of memes. I've been DM'd a lot of memes about this already. Here's what I will say about a dragon riding encounter in my raid. If it's an early boss, and it's not too fiddly and difficult and annoying, I think that could be fun. If it's a later boss, and or it's really difficult, and really annoying, really fiddly, then I think that will be less fun. But I feel like there's room in raids for something like you think about like a boss like Terragru, Anima Powers, you know, kind of silly boss, Blackwater Behemoth even, underwater boss. These bosses, if they're early in the raid, I really don't think they're that offensive. I think that show off some kind of cool tech. I feel like a dragon riding fight is something I'm kind of surprised they didn't do it in Vault of the Incarnates. And I think that it could be sweet and fun and possibly like, you know, if it's done right, it could just be a chill blast fight where you're dragon riding around a bit and it's not too min-maxed. But I feel like it is not the kind of mechanic that would be fun to min-max. But, you know, potentially even that I could be wrong about. So I am actually very interested in seeing what this looks like, giving it a big benefit of the doubt, and then hoping that it's early enough in the raid that if it's not fun, they can make it just super easy, and that will solve the not fun part of it for the most part. Assault of the Zaqali, there's a similar thing, right? You remember PTR testing for Assault of the Zaqali? Everyone is like, oh my god, this is the worst fight ever. Early in the raid, easy enough, doesn't matter. Right? Those sorts of things actually just don't... It's impossible to have a fight be unfun if it is early in the raid, not difficult, and doesn't take 20 minutes to kill, which that was the Hellfire Assault problem, right? Like if your fight is me waiting around for the fight to end, that's not very good, but as long as I can just blast through and do it faster every week, then yeah, that combination of factors, no matter what gimmick they put on a fight like that, it can't be unfun. So hopefully the dragon riding one has that safety valve that they're willing to hit if, you know, turns out dragon riding isn't actually a fun thing to do in an encounter, but I'm not surprised that they're trying this, and, you know, I'm actually reasonably optimistic that it might just be fun on the merits. Dragon riding is a great system. It is great fun, and could even be reasonably good to have some kind of way to optimize it in a raid, so we'll see. And then the ultimate showdown with Farak. So Farak, the end boss, at the top of Amir Drasil, the Dream's Hope. Prepare to mount up, take to the sky with your allies, and come face-to-face with Farak. And here is a show of the boss room, I guess, where Farak is hanging out. So it's the top of the tree. You can see there he is, wielding that axe that we're going to be pilfering from his corpse. And there's two of these. They look like they're involved in the boss fight, maybe. These are like roots coming in from the side of the tree, maybe up. But they've got this weird green highlighting around them. I wouldn't be surprised if these were mechanically relevant to the encounter, these green root things. Anyways, that's all the information that I've gleaned here from what I've seen so far today. I will link all of this, and you can go watch the Wowcast where they announced all this stuff as well. And as more information comes out, I will... Ooh, okay, we've got some tier set 3 previews. Hang on. Okay, hang on. Since I started recording this video, we've got some new stuff to add, so let's just do those now. We've got some tier sets. Okay, cool. This is just set appearances. Nice. Ooh, I like this Warlock one a lot, actually. That looks really sweet. That's kind of got a Farak vibe to it as well. That comes through really nicely, so that's cool, but we don't see set bonuses yet. As soon as there are set bonuses, I'll have videos on those. New dragon riding mount, Fairy Dragon riding, makes sense. Farak Proto-Drake mount appearance, sweet. Ooh, recolors for the Netherwing Drake, which was I think that was the Trading Post one, but there's recolors coming for that, so that's cool. And, oh... some new Moonkin forms. Wow, these look really silly, but, you know, that's Moonkin, right? That's what they do. So, that's cool. Ooh, is there fire? Okay, many are likely enemies. Okay, fiery druid customizations. Oh, if there's like a fire bear, yeah, if there's a fire bear customization, that's gonna be sweet. Yeah, what is this thing? Some kind of enemy fire Moonkin, it looks like, according to the disclaimer here, but. So that would be a cool appearance as well. All right, well, yeah, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep making videos as there are new updates coming in here. So hopefully any 10.2 news will be grabbed together maybe every 24 hours or so if there's a lot of news. I will put together a new video off of them. Hope you've enjoyed this one, though. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button if you want to stay tuned for all that content coming in the near future. As soon as there's boss testing on the PTR as well, I will have content for those. Have my Wisdom Teeth coming out next week, so maybe a slight break in the content when that happens, but otherwise should be able to hopefully cover all of the boss testing. We obviously don't know when that's going to be yet, but hopefully that will start soon. Usually it does start very soon after the PTR goes up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.